Millionaires are made, the show where we believe you can become a millionaire in all 6 aspects of health. That's right, we share tips every week to improve your mental, social, spiritual, financial, and intellectual health. Today, we're actually focusing on your physical health and the topic of weight loss fads. To improve your physical health regarding weight loss fads. Can't wait to learn what our guest. This is the show built on the fundamental belief that every person you meet knows something you don't, and there is something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. In the spirit of authenticity and to try to remove as much bias as possible, we do not talk about our tips or advice in the green room before the show. So what you hear is going to be our guests' real live authentic journeys and the tips that they have learned from them. Audience, this is an interactive show. Please comment and ask questions. We do answer them live and put our guests on the spot. If you are not following us anywhere, please do. We love to shout out our followers, which I will do right now on Facebook. Ina Churikova, on Instagram, Sajid, TikTok, CN Craft, and YouTube, Healthspan with Hala. Thank you so much for following us. Hopefully you can be shouted out next time. If you would like to be a guest on our our sponsor, Sarah Jones, who was buried in debt in a marriage that was failing and making more money than ever before, but she knew there had to be a better way. She was following one of the big name programs for getting out of debt, and it resulted in more shame, more debt, and living a life that felt awful. So she set out to find a way through the money mess, restore her marriage, and to use the money they were making to work for them and not against them. Now, Sarah travels the United States in an RV with her husband and helps teach people how to build healthy financial foundations. Check her out right now in that link. Our next sponsor is Craig Setkovsky, who is crazy amazing. His life exemplifies resilience and transformation. He's a 9/11 World Trade Center volunteer and a lung cancer survivor. And Craig overcame childhood trauma, addiction, and adversity to become a certified Les Brown Power Voice speaker, real estate investor, and mentor. Craig helps people and challenges their societal norms and encourages self-discovery, authenticity, and personal growth. Definitely go check out Craig at his link right now. And our next sponsor, Amanda Cullum, is passionate about holistic health. She combines science, faith, and frequency-charged nutrition to help everyone stay calm, aligned, and thrive. And our last sponsor for this episode, huge thank you to Jesse Lewis, who brings unforgettable entertainment to any event. He's a comedy hypnotist. He also does telehypnotism. Hilarious interactive shows guaranteed to amaze and engage your guests. Visit his website to book now and make the event the highlight of the year. Ooh, now that we got through all that, thank you so much for watching. We are going to pull out our very first guest. His name is Sean. Sean, who are you?
Hey, Austin, thanks for having me here. My name's Sean Huber. I am a high-performance mindset business coach. I also have a certification in medical hypnosis. I combined all this from my background from being a massage therapist and a personal trainer for 20-something years. My big thing was getting people from where they're at to get a lot better, man. And it's really had a huge impact, not only on myself, but all the clients that I've been working with throughout the years.
Awesome. I love it. I've got an important question for you.
Sure.
If I wanted to improve my physical health regarding weight loss fads, what piece of advice would you give me?
So in my personal and professional opinion, they all work. They're going to get rid of a bunch of things that could be causing inflammation in your body. The thing is, how's your body going to adapt to it as you're doing it? So a lot of times you go through a detox where you're getting rid of a lot from parasites to just junk in your entire digestive tract. So anything that you've researched a little bit, you may know of someone, talk to a physician before you start anything. But the main thing is enjoy it while you're doing it. If it's really difficult, I would stay away from it completely. I've watched people try to do different things and they're just completely miserable, have no energy. The reality of it is, it's going to take about 3 or 4 days for your body to adjust to it. So do what you enjoy, the type of food you eat. I wouldn't necessarily go on a pizza diet or something crazy like fast food. But again, whole healthy food's the best way to go.
Whole healthy food. Awesome. Sean, where on your life journey did you learn this tip?
So I started exercising around 12 years old and was in some interesting gym situations where there were a lot of professional athletes and bodybuilders. And you'd watch them bring in all this crazy food. I'm like, okay, what are they doing? And they're like, okay, you need a certain amount of protein to gain a certain amount of muscle. And you start to realize like proteins, fats, and carbohydrates all have energy in them. What is the best energy for the look you're looking for? So the least amount of carbohydrates you have, the leaner you look. The less fat, they were saying back then, the less fat you would have. But the reality of it was, if you're exercising, you need calories. If you want to build muscle, you need some form of protein, be it animal or vegetable, whatever it is. But the big thing was that whole system that I was working with got me in shape. I got really lean. So I enjoyed being in the gym, learning from a lot of older people, watching what they were doing. It was the subculture of the subculture. It wasn't something that most people were around back then. They had the Jenny Craigs going and all kinds of things. I was definitely not in the realm of wanting to do the fast food style dieting.
I agree with most of that. Yeah. Interesting take. Thank you so much, Sean. We're going to bring out our next guest right now, and we'll bring you out for the round robin. Sound good?
Thanks.
Next up, we have Gabby. Hey, Gabby, who are you?
Hi, Austin. I'm Gabby. I'm the trauma informed personal trainer. Into the fitness industry for 20 years, and I started with group fitness, and then I moved to personal training, and I realized that how toxic the fitness industry can be, and I did my fair share of fuck ups, and I became trauma informed. I became trauma informed through my own problems with, you know, traumatizing myself by exercising, overtraining, and I created a program that really works on an emotional, mental, physical, spiritual level that I'm really proud of. That the person who I was 8, 9 years ago would have needed desperately. So
Good. Well, I'm glad that you are where you are. I have an important question for you, Gabby. If I wanted to improve my physical health regarding weight loss fads, what piece of advice would you give me?
my piece of advice is nervous system regulation and stress management. I picked one fad that was my interpretation of this. That instead of focusing on calorie deficit for weight loss, you want to work on your nervous system regulation, because everything starts with that. And I believe that all issues start with nervous system dysregulation, but those are big words.
So, what's the first step to focus on your nervous system and regulate it? How does one go about
Thank you
that?
for Yeah, so it came from my own trauma, that how dysregulated I was, and I had no idea what was happening to me. I was just really stressed all the time. So technically, when a trauma response happens in the body, it can be one of the four: flight, fight, freeze, fawn. The nervous system regulation is present, and the cortisol levels just spike. And what that does is, you want to go into calorie deficit, but you cannot, because the cortisol levels are up in your body. So there's no homeostasis happening. So calorie deficit adds even more stress to your body. your body is dysregulated, you're under crazy amount of stress, so you're in this vicious loop of trying to lose weight, but you're so anxious all the time, you're stressed all the time because you're hungry all the time, and you just cannot get to your goals. So the answer is to slow the fuck down.
Slow the fuck down. Hey, that's a tip that, I mean, that can go for more than just physical health. There's a lot going there. All right, so you
Oh,
talked to us a little
absolutely.
you talked to us a little bit about your past. Tell us more where you learned this piece of advice and this tip.
Yeah, it came from my own journey with trauma, and I found somatic work, somatic experiencing, and that really was a big game changer for me 4 years ago, and I just started there and little bits and pieces, and I'm so grateful that trauma informed personal training existed when I found it, and I didn't have to invent it.
That makes life a lot easier, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, Gabby, we're going to move on to our next guest. Thank you so much, and we will see you when we bring everyone out. Next up, we have Steven. Steven, who are you?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name's Steve Hicks. I'm the founder of Thriving Body Holistic Fitness. And the surprising fact about me is I kind of don't like fitness. Like Gabby mentioned, it can be a really toxic space, and I'm not in my 20s anymore. There's some white up in this beard coming in. And so what we often think about the fitness industry and the bro meatheads and things like that, like I can't push myself to that. I don't enjoy that presence. For me, fitness and wellness is a great way to just feel your best every single day, and that's what I'm pursuing when I do my stuff.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. When you do your stuff. Cool. What kind of stuff you doing? Hey, Steven, I got an important question for you. If I
Yeah,
wanted to improve my physical health regarding weight loss fads, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
yeah, I would skip it. Most of the fads are these kind of outrageous, uh, insane like protocols that most people understand they're not going to stick with. I would skip the fad phase and just go right into common sense habits. Ultimately, at the end of the day, for this to be sustainable, you wanted to go into those common sense habits. Yeah, so that's my big thing is I would try to skip it.
All right. So just ignore all the fads.
Yeah, and then shift into common sense habits. Like I got my buddy Michael Evans. If he's catching this, shout out to you, buddy. But he was having a conversation with me. He went from, I believe it was like around 230, and he dropped down to I think about 170, 160 range now. And he was telling me that what he did was instead of doing, he had a lot of experience and a lot of habits, like doing the diets, doing the fads. And the time that led to success was he just asked himself simply, hey, what would I do if I was 160 pounds? And then he just started doing those habits. If you do those common sense habits, those sensible routines over a long enough time period, they just work. They get you where you want to be.
Good. I like it. I like it. All right, Steven, where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
Yeah, man, it's been an evolution, right? So started off in my youth with athletics. Athletics is real hard, real egocentric, really pushed to the core. And then 2019, I shattered my leg. So I actually have a steel rod in my left leg. Um,
Oh,
and
wow.
it took away a lot of the fitness industry standards of pushing the body to the limits. Like I can't squat that heavy. I can't jump on boxes. But despite that injury, I there was one day I was crutching into my brother's house, and my nephew got super excited. He was 5 at the time, came screaming down the hallway, "Uncle's here!" And my brother had to grab him and say, "Hey, you can't play with Uncle. He's hurt right now." And that
sucks.
pain and devastation in his face made me realize that being physically fit, physically capable is not about pushing your body to the limits. It's about just enjoying life's opportunities.
All right, that makes so much sense, Steven. I think that's a good point to end this. We're gonna bring everyone out and start asking questions. We already have the audience going nuts over there. We'll bring Gabby and Sean out here, and we're gonna start right off with an audience question, if I can find it. Oh, this is gonna be a tough one. All right, how can one lose weight from 96 kilograms to 60 kilograms? So that's like 36 pounds. Or 36 kilos, so that's, oh man, that's like 60, 70 pounds. Thoughts?
The first one popped in my head is an amputation, but no one's going to be doing that. So depending upon what that person is physically in shape and their mental state, what is the reason behind that weight loss is the first thing I'd want to know. And then, I mean, you have to have a calorie deficit to lose weight. So they have to know where they're at. And the big thing that I've really come to understand is if your hormones are out of balance, it's difficult for you to lose weight. So I always recommend people to get blood work to make sure that everything's balanced before they're going to go and try to lose that much weight. Because that's a significant amount.
Let's talk a tiny bit more about that. What kind of blood work? What does it tell you? Why do you need it? How does it help? And this is for all of you as well.
What I've done for myself is my testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, just a panel that you can get, ask your doctor to do, or go to a specialty clinic that'll do it. Also, you want to know where your cortisol levels are, your vitamin D, if you're deficient or not, because vitamin D is actually a hormone. And then at the same time, what is your gut biome doing? Are you having issues with your digestive tract? And if that's off, your body, even if you're taking all the right supplements, if it's not absorbing these things, what's the point in taking it? So that's a huge factor in knowing how all this is going to work for you.
Gabby, Steven, anything you guys like to add?
Yeah, so
I'd love to.
You go first, Gabby.
I love that you both wanted to talk.
Because everything what Sean is doing, that's what nervous system dysregulation is. When the hormone imbalance is happening, then we want to nip it in the bud and make sure that we take steps first before we jump into calorie deficit or anything else that can create further damage, because we have to do those things first before we do focus on weight loss. So thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Great information. And one thing, sorry, Steven,
You're good.
That if your doctor is not willing to send you to a blood test, go find someone else. Don't accept a no, because that's what I faced when I wanted to get a blood test done for my hormones. My GP wasn't willing to send me. So don't take no as an answer.
I love it. Steven, what are your
Find
thoughts?
someone else.
Yeah, so Gabby just had an important thing that she mentioned. Like sometimes you do have to push back a little bit more when you ask for certain things. I'm going to be a little bit of a dissenter here. As far as the panels, they're good. They do inform us if there's deficiencies that will hold us back. But I like to think of a lot of healthy habits kind of in a pyramid scheme, right? If we think about like a pyramid, getting blood panels and optimizing deficiencies and stuff, that's kind of the tip of the pyramid. I want to always focus on the base of the pyramid first, the foundation. And for me, I think that's a lot of just really common sense, reasonable and sensible, healthy habits. Because at the end of the day, we can try to get all this high level stuff, but if we don't have that foundation, we're just going to drop back down. And so for the starting point, the original question was, how do we get from 96 kilos down to 60 kilos? Like Michael had said, like, just kind of think about what are the daily habits of you at 60 kilograms, right? Are you doing a daily walk? Do you exercise 3 to 5 times a week? Are you eating mostly vegetables? Are you eating sensible? Are you not necessarily avoiding junk food, but are you limiting junk food and the ultra processed foods? Like, let's start off with the foundation, which is sensible habits. And if you get stuck, those blood panels and those regulations, those are very important that can get past those plateaus. But I want to start off with ultimately those habits. Those habits are your base, they're your foundation, they're your support, and they're what's going to give you stability for lifelong health.
I love that, what Steven says. I agree with everything. I use the term critical thinking, that the common sense, but I have to mention that that does not exist for a lot of people. So they have to get educated, and finding someone like Steven who knows how to make this information very digestible. That's super, super important, I find. But I also want to add the gray area, that when people try to eat healthy or limit certain foods or fast food, the body is going to resist, and that's the hard thing. It's not just the mindset. The body does not wants to how do you call it, jeopardize, not jeopardize, that's a different word, but
Yeah, it wants to survive and it wants
sabotage.
to maintain that status
Exactly,
quo.
exactly. So breaking those old habits, and it's challenging. So guys, don't give up.
Absolutely.
It's the sabotage is real. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the body wants to be comfortable, and
Yeah.
the mind too.
And some of that, I mean, if you have bad bacteria in your gut, it's sending signals to your brain to make you eat the junk food. And that's the whole thing that a lot of
Absolutely.
people don't realize.
Mm.
There are internal things that are playing with your thought process. And I think
Mhm.
that's where people are like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, no, actually, if you're not controlling your sleep patterns, your gut health, I work a lot with frequency and microcurrent healing. And people are like, well, how's that something that's important to you? Well, it's like, if you're eating a tomato, is a tomato a tomato? Depends on how it was grown, the chemicals that are involved in it, or if it's organic. You can crack open an egg, one's going to be yellow, one's going to be orange. Is there a difference? The energy and how that chicken was raised, which is a little out there, has a huge impact on how your body is going to utilize that energy you're giving it.
Yeah,
All right,
there,
let's
there
stop
are
right-
definitely that. Okay.
Steven, we'll get back to that. We got like questions lining up. All right,
Yeah.
let's go on to this next one here. We're going to talk about specific exercises for losing weight.
Yeah. So, I would specific is very difficult. But I will give kind of like the ultimate hack that most people don't consider is the best exercise for fat loss is kind of inefficiency, right? The things that your body's not good at, it ends up burning more calories to try to get through that process. So we do want to try to find things that we're not great at and do this. This is one of the big reasons why I just saw in the comments on YouTube, someone mentioned walking. Walking is a fantastic place to start. And a lot of people that go from sedentary to walking do lose weight, but there's a life cycle on that. Eventually walking kind of stops the weight loss because we get very efficient at it. And so we usually have to add a challenge, walking uphill, walking on stairs, walking faster. We have to do something that makes us more inefficient. And the same thing's true with strength training. Is at some point, if you're always doing the dumbbell bench press, your body's gonna learn that pattern, that neural pattern. It's not gonna have to think, it's not gonna have to process, it's gonna get very efficient. So you'll have to mix that up with different angles, doing one arm versus two arms, doing dumbbells versus bars versus kettlebells. Like the most specific thing that I can give you is no specificity, and try to find things that you suck at and just kind of embrace the suck and go through that.
All right.
But learn good form. Let's put that there.
Oh,
Learn good form, because if the form is not there, we are going to end up hurting ourselves, get injured, and then we can start all over and get a setback.
All right, we're going to move on to another question from Silver Fox Fitness. What is the science behind dieting, Austin? Can you yo-yo dieting? Sorry, yo-yo dieting.
I would say, I mean, yo-yo dieting is an interesting thing. You get a result, and again, they're designed to keep you coming back over and over. So you get a great result, you stop the diet, you gain the weight back. Guess where you're going? Oh, I use this program. I lost weight. I'm going to do it again. That's the whole yo-yo reasoning behind it. Now, the psychological is your body transforms so much faster than your mind does. If you still believe and look in the mirror and see that person who's overweight, guess what you're going to start to go towards? That person who's overweight. So definitely shifting the mindset and believing that you should be a healthy, strong-minded and physically minded, physically bodied person. That's the whole key to this, to get rid of that yo-yo. But again, marketing, it's playing with your brain. You're seeing it on TV. You're seeing the ads constantly. You're asking a friend what they did. There's a huge one going on right now. Does it work? Yes. What happens when you stop? What are the side effects? No one knows yet. That's going to be the big thing happening in the next year with these diet drugs that people are on.
All right.
Yeah. One thing I do want to throw one bit of science out, since we asked about the science behind yo-yo diets. There's a positive aspect and a negative aspect. The positive aspect, I can't remember if it was the nurses study or the Farmville study or whatever, Farmingham. Anyway, one of the long-term population studies did find that when people lose 10% of their body weight and regain it, they're in a healthier position down the road than people that have never lost weight. So we don't want to yo-yo, but it is, if you do get a weight loss period, you're going to be long-term better off than if you never get that weight loss period. The second thing, the negative side, we do have a lot of evidence of people, we get those rebound weight gains and they're never the same, right? It's always a little bit more than you lost. So it does appear that there is some cellular damage that can occur when we do fad diets and when we do this yo-yo cycle. So we want to avoid the negatives, but if you do catch yourself falling into that pattern, there is actually some positive long-term. If you manage to lose some weight with or without a fad, you are going to be in a better position regardless of whether you're able to keep that off. We'd love you to keep it off because that puts you in the best position, but any weight loss is good for your health.
Awesome. All right, we're going to touch, I think Sean touched on this a little bit, but now let's do a little comments about sleep and stress management play effective roles in weight loss trends that aren't commonly mentioned. Let's discuss that a little bit.
I would say your quality of sleep is much more important than the quantity, as long as it's over 6 hours. Like anything below that, I don't care how you're getting by, you're not. So sleep is the deep sleep. It's the REM sleep. You need really to get a device that monitors your sleep pattern to know exactly where you're at. If you're waking up feeling exhausted, you're not sleeping well. I mean, the interesting thing is the room temperature that you set in your house can have a huge impact on the quality of sleep you get too. So it definitely helps regulate your hormones better, the better quality sleep you get.
What temperature should it be?
I like below 68. But again, there's all kinds of devices that you can have that goes on a mattress, so you don't have to have the whole house that cold. So it's definitely investigating what's in your budget, what works best for you.
Interesting. Very interesting. Gabby, Steven, anything to add?
Yeah, I'm going to let Gabby get this because she talked about the central nervous regulation. I think that's going to be huge in the stress management.
Smart move.
I'm guilty as well, but get off your phone way before bedtime. Like, get off the screen. And what I really notice that when I do I'm a huge advocate for gentle movement, foam rolling, all that. When I do some foam rolling at night before going to bed, I start to yawn. That's a sign of nervous system regulation, not just boredom. Okay, I want to put that there. That just give yourself time to slow down in the evening, and it makes a huge difference. And I know when I wake up in the morning like a grumpy bitch, that's not going to be a good day. So it nips us in the butt if we don't take care of our sleeps, especially as we get older. Like, it's huge. And alcohol is a huge factor that makes us have shitty sleep. So yeah, everything, just it's how we live our life is super, super important. Please know that I'm over 40 and it's not getting any better. We have to take care of ourselves.
Right, it doesn't get better.
Yeah, sleep is huge. Sleep is shockingly nuanced. I'm actually a certified sleep coach, and there's three different biological systems that regulate our sleep. We don't have an hour to talk about that. If you want to go deeper on that, I've got an episode on the Thriving Body podcast where you can find that. But what I do want to mention is how sleep affects weight loss specifically. There was a really great study where they had people get either 6 hours of time in bed or 8.5 hours of time in bed. They put them on the same diet. And as you can guess, they lost the same amount of weight, right? You were probably hoping that the good sleep got more, but what they found was the type of weight they lost was significantly different. People that were well rested lost a lot of fat tissue, which is what we want when we lose weight, right? The people that were sleep deprived, they did lose fat tissue. Let's not mistake that. But they lost 60% of their weight through lean body mass. That's their muscle tissue. That's their connective tissues. That's the stuff that we want to keep to increase our quality of life. And so you'll hear a lot of people say that sleep will be the game changer. And I don't think necessarily it affects weight, the scale number, but it will affect the quality of what stays on your body. If you want to manage your body composition and lose more fat, keeping muscle, trying to get good quality sleep, like Sean mentioned, is absolutely critical. We always talk about diet and exercise are the sexy rock stars, but I think sleep is probably the most important healthy habit, and we tend to neglect it, unfortunately.
We spend 1/3 of our life sleeping. It's rather important. All right, let's move on. We've got, this can be a good one. All right, here we go. Are there any alternative treatments that work as well as Ozempic for weight loss without all the risks?
No. Period. Any drug you're taking to get your body to slow down and not do what it's supposed to do is the most dangerous thing you can do. There's cases now where the stomach has been paralyzed, so it doesn't digest any food. And, you're playing with chemistry. It's just crazy. Are there alternatives? Yeah. Eat a bunch of fiber. That's what you should do.
So I'm actually going to kind of get the surprise answer to this one. I'm going to say that Sean is possibly the alternative treatment to Ozempic. There is a lot of chemistry that Ozempic does, right? It does affect digestion. It doesn't affect your A1Cs. It does affect insulin. There is chemistry involved. As we've seen, it's not harmless, right? There are a lot of patients that have been hospitalized for gut issues. There's people that have had some negative effects, right? But the biggest benefit that I've seen that Ozempic and the other GLP-1s have is that it dulls our sense for the yearning for the food and the overconsumption. And it's look, the reality is we're suffering from a decade of consumerist marketing and a lot of propaganda and food engineering. It's designed to make you addicted to foods. And the biggest benefit to Ozempic, other than the insulin regulation, is that it cuts down those cravings. And for me, the reason why I said that Sean is a alternative treatment to that is because he works as a medical hypnotist, right? When we can get in and alter our mind's cravings and alter the mind's desires, it helps fight that unfortunate billion-dollar industry that's worked on getting us to want to give them our money, right? So again, at the end of the day, I think Ozempic's going to be really great for getting people to start when they're stuck. You're going to need to support that with those sensible health habits that we talked about, the base of the pyramid earlier. Alternative to that is, I think, a lot of mindset work. And of all the people on the call right now, that seems like that's Sean's biggest MO. Obviously, I do mindset coaching because it's absolutely crucial. But I think we can get in and kind of do similar things with the medical hypnotism potentially.
Sean, I like that you brought up fiber. I think in the last 6 months, I've just focused my entire diet on protein and fiber. Like, I don't care about anything else anymore. as much protein and fiber as you can get. I think that fiber is really, really underlooked. And actually, I've learned that from doing this show. A lot of our guests come on and they're like, people don't eat enough fiber. Ain't enough fiber out there. And I'm like, man. So I'm glad you brought that up. Eat more fiber, people. All right, we got to, I guess we got time. We'll do who. We're running low. We got time for one more question right here. We kind of went over a little bit by sleeping, but I get fat by sleeping. Why?
Fat, but I mean, so the big thing about sleeping that a lot of people aren't aware of is having sleep apnea. So I had a client, she was a medical nurse. She thought by getting more sleep, she would get better. She actually started gaining more weight. She went and did a sleep test. She was stopping sleeping 70 times.
Oof.
And so her sleep quality was trash. And that's why people gain weight, because their hormones are all over the place and they're actually gasping for air to continue to live. And if you don't know what's going on, you definitely need to take a sleep test or a sleep study.
Yeah, well, there's a good tip for you, Abel. If you are getting fat by sleeping, figure out what's wrong with your sleeping because you're probably not doing it right. All right, guys, this brings us to my favorite part of the show. We need to come up with a daily challenge. This is a challenge that helps us improve our physical health with or regarding weight loss fads. It needs to take less than 5 minutes a day. It must cost $0, and it must be available to anyone in the world from Bangladesh to Bolivia. What thoughts do you guys have?
I've got a background in Qigong, so I think tapping is a great way to stimulate the nervous system in the morning to get yourself woken up, ready to go, which then increases your metabolism throughout the day. And it's an ancient art that actually has a huge comeback right now, which is interesting. It can definitely line up
Tell
your
me
right
exactly what that is.
Tap is just tapping. You can do it in a series of different numbers, whatever you. So using your fingers, the palms of your hands, your entire body. It's just starting at the top of your head, working your way down. Not hard to do. Yep,
So
just like that.
So tapping here 11 times is a good way to start your day.
Tapping around your ears, back of your head, your shoulders, your arms, your entire body, just to get everything working. Yeah.
Okay, so just tap your whole body.
Yeah. Right. Take less than 5 minutes.
Reconnect to your breath, like even just for 5 minutes, first thing in the morning. That, I'm lucky to be able to live by the ocean. So listening to the ocean is beautiful. So by pulling yourself to the present, you're calming the nervous system. And it's not about not thinking about anything, but letting those thoughts go and connecting to your breath. That helps tremendously. Yeah.
All right. 5 deep breaths, tapping. Steven, what you got?
Yeah, so one of the things that I encourage my clients to do, I think mindset's very important. I think visualization's a great way. And so what I have them do is when they're most relaxed, either waking up or going to sleep, just kind of consider the response to when I'm thriving, and then answer, fill in the blank. And that can be, there's usually 2 answers. It's what you do or how you describe yourself, right? And that can be in health and wellness, that can go outside. So you can talk about like when I'm thriving, I hang out with my friends each week. When I'm thriving, I do my daily walks. When I'm thriving, I choose good foods. When I'm thriving, it's just
I'm on Millionaires
set yourself up.
Yeah.
You just want to kind of set that frame, kind of set those expectations, and then it guides decisions throughout the rest of the day. It's kind of like going back to Michael's, like, what would he do when he was 60 kilograms, right?
Yeah, when you're thriving, you're whatever the other 56 or whatever the other one was. Awesome. All right, so for our daily challenge, we've got tap yourself. I'm going to do 11 times here because I've been told by numerous people that's good for your spiritual health. Then we'll tap the rest of our body. We'll take 5 deep breaths and think about when I'm thriving, and just start filling in those blanks. There goes my internet. All right, we're good. All right.
You're back.
Well, we got what we needed to do. Thank you guys so much. I'll put you backstage real quick. Before, and then it was raining. So if it rains, the power internet, and that's how that works. So much for watching another episode of Millionaires Are Made. Hopefully you guys learned a lot about weight loss fads. We talked about all sorts of different things, and we came up with an awesome daily challenge. We're going to wake up or anytime during the day and tap all over our body, and at least 11 times here. That's great for your spiritual health. Do that. And take 5 deep breaths to help regulate. And then ask yourself, when I'm thriving, and go ahead and fill in the blanks. Hopefully you'll